Hey there, welcome to day 1326 of What's She Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting the journey as I transition from the brick and mortar business to the corporate world. Over a quarter century in corporate America, 48 years in different businesses and different industries, into the online world. In 2017, I popped online. I did kind of just pop online. Prior to that, I really hadn't done much online. A little bit of social media, but just for personal reasons. Never did anything for business online with my offline businesses prior really to 2017. Dabbled a little bit. I think I put some Italian food on eBay or something, or on a couple of different sites, but they weren't my sites. So didn't really understand or participate in the online world at all. But after my divorce and separating our businesses, my ex-husband and I had several businesses together. After separating those, I decided I wanted to do something totally different. And since I'd always been curious about the internet, which many people are, I hopped on board. Hopped online, started out with ClickFunnels, learned and became a certified partner for the ClickFunnels organization, which helped me understand a good foundation, gave me a great foundation actually of understanding the online world, marketing, how it kind of works. And then that, of course, led me down all the little rabbit holes and shiny object syndrome that so many of us end up falling for when we get online. It's like if you're looking for anything, information is never there's never a shortage of information. Nowadays with the internet, it's not the way it's always been. Before the internet, when you wanted to learn something or understand something or gain wisdom in an area, you had to actually go out and search it out. You had to go to the library. You had to contact people that were doing what you wanted to do. You had to be very resourceful. There was a higher barrier to entry because it took a lot more effort to learn and understand and do things before the internet than it does with the internet. Nowadays with the internet, anybody with a cell phone, anybody that can get to a library has really unlimited access to knowledge and wisdom, knowledge, information, and information. And information isn't necessarily knowledge, right? Knowledge and wisdom are the application of information that we receive. It's how we use it. There's a lot of very, very educated people that are extremely unwise and extremely not knowledgeable. They just have learned a lot of things, but they don't have any common sense, or they've learned a lot of things, but they've never applied any of it, etc. We could talk about that all day. But today, the reason I'm even thinking about these things is our challenge, our annual challenge today was about wisdom and understanding, and that the wise person will hear one thing, but they'll understand more of what's going on. They'll understand three things whenever they hear one thing. And I thought that was really kind of powerful. And then our challenge today was to say, okay, what is one thing you hear, and what are three things that you understand from hearing that? Now, you can take that any way you want, but how I already did this one, and I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, well, what do I hear as I'm going about my day, as I'm traveling around the world? It depends what I am tuning into and paying attention to. If I listen to the media and watch the news, I'm hearing doom and gloom and everything is so awful and negative, because negativity, pain, fear, doubt, and worry sell. They get you to come back and watch for more because you hear just a snippet of a story and you're like, oh my God, I got to find out how that happened. That's why the news does the little trailer of the accident, news at 10 or whatever. I don't watch the news obviously since the 80s, so I don't know, but because they want to suck you into the negativity. So it depends what you're hearing. Well, what you're hearing is what you're choosing to pay attention to and tune into. So the first step is to be wise enough to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Pay attention to the people you're around. Pay attention to what you're watching, reading, listening to, because it all has an impact on us. And it will determine whether we understand three things or not. If I ask somebody, well, how are you doing today? And they say, I'm fine. And I can look at three things. Just from communication standpoint alone, there's at least three things we can ascertain when we ask somebody a simple question. Well, how are you doing today? Well, I'm fine. We can listen to their words. If somebody tells me they're fine, I usually immediately go to, well, what else is going on here? And I pay attention to the words they say, their tone of voice, their body language, how it looks like they're feeling, how they're carrying themselves. Because usually if I say I'm fine, there's something else going on. I just don't want to explain it to the person that's asked me. My kids now know that about me. But if I say I feel awesome or I'm having an awesome day, and my words and my actions and my demeanor and my tone of voice matches, then I've learned 3 things about the person that says they're having an awesome day, they're having a good day, they're positive, they're upbeat, they're optimistic, they're congruent, they're probably honest and open and authentic. I make all these assumptions and understand all these things just by observing, wisely observing the words, the tone, the body language, the actions of the person that's responding to the question, right? So I thought that was a really interesting one. But maybe, you know, I guess wisdom begins with, what am I paying attention to? And then what am I actually seeing and understanding from what I am observing with my different senses? And then understanding, and I guess understanding is everything that we communicate, everything we do and say and hear is subject to our interpretation. You know, a lot of us, and I don't know, I'm getting better about this, but a lot of times we just spew our information out and we assume people understand it in the way we intend it. But that's a really scary assumption. Assumptions are really scary anyway, because they lead us down the wrong path, because we think everybody thinks like us, and they absolutely don't. We think everybody defines things the way we do, and they absolutely don't, because we're in our minds, we're in our egos, we're in our consciousness, we're in our levels of experience, and we view the world and experience the world as we uniquely do, as the body and the entity and the human and the consciousness and the subconsciousness that we are. We absorb everything. And so does everybody else. But that means even if we're having a similar experience as someone else, we could be having the same experience as someone else standing right next to us, yet we would experience it totally differently. You know, it's why when witnesses are called to testify about an accident or an event, you know, 50 people might have seen something, and the police or the investigators will get 50 different versions of what actually happened. And not drastically different versions, but different versions, because people will observe things from their level of experience. We see things, we hear things, we experience things from our current level of experience, and that's all we can do. That's how we evolve as human beings. So I just think it's a really interesting topic that came up today. And the other one was teamwork for Supersize Your Business. I'm doing a few days of teamwork related idioms, and the one today was from Henry Ford, and it's one I'm sure I've heard pieces of, but I don't recall ever using it all together. It's coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, and then working together is success. And Henry Ford, of course, said that. Henry Ford has got a lot of wise sayings throughout his lifetime. He lived from 1863 to 1947, so he lived, what, 73 years? Or 74 years. He was 74 when he passed away. But for a non-formally educated person, he's probably one of the wisest persons that we could study and learn from, because he had an incredible way of thinking and viewing and seeing the world that we can learn things from, right? We can especially learn things about teamwork. And so we talked about the advantages of teamwork. And then, you know, I actually touched on the stages of teamwork, because I don't know about you, but I've been on some teams that were absolutely, positively, totally dysfunctional and horrible to be a part of, yet we still had to get certain results for the organizations I work for. So it's actually really great experience to be on different teams and go through the stages of team development: form, storm, norm, and conform, because not all teams make it through all the stages of team development to become good, self-sufficient, actually well-functioning, productive teams. There are teams that do it, but actually the ones that do are probably more rare than the ones that actually don't or struggle with it. And it's possible to get any team through it, but it can be a challenge. I think of different areas and aspects where we have teams and team decision-making in our lives, and we think about that. I think of the court system, for example, juries. Now, I've only ever been involved in a couple of different trials and court cases, but juries are a group of totally different people picked for different reasons by the opposing attorneys that have to come together and come to a mutual decision in a very short period of time. So the whole form, storm, norm, conform, the probability of them being really well-functioning teams is really slim to none, because from the very beginning, the way that they're selected and the way they come together isn't conducive to being a cohesive problem-solving, decision-making group. Where else do we see teams that are thrown together? In a lot of corporations, a lot of businesses throw teams together. They pull somebody from each department to be on a multifunctional team for a big project, but they don't take into account the personalities, the experience levels. They just grab a person from each department, and then they wonder why the team struggles to communicate, to make decisions, to actually provide results, meet timelines, etc., and to achieve the goals of a team. Because it takes a little more thought to throw a team together than just grabbing one person from each function. We want to be really thoughtful about how we build our teams and put our teams together. And one of the things about creating your own business is you get to do that. You get to choose the people and the abilities and the skills that you want to bring together to create what it is that you want to create. So love team building, love teams. I love managing and leading teams. It's one of the most challenging things we'll ever do, but it's also one of the most rewarding when it all does gel and come together. So that was our Supersize Your Business, was about teamwork, understanding and wisdom for the annual challenge. I've actually been working on a little bit every day next year's annual challenge. And I haven't 100% decided what and how I'm going to do it, but I think I've got the idea of how I'm going to do it. I am actually out of these little journal books that I've used for the last, this is year 4 of doing my annual challenge. They've run out of topics. I'll have to go online and see if they've got another topic that I would like to spend a year getting a little better at every single day. But they've got like, do one thing every day for couples. That doesn't work for me right now, and I definitely don't want to share that in a daily challenge online. If I were a couple and I wanted to do that, I definitely would not. Maybe I would. I don't know. Maybe I would share that online. I don't know. But right now, I don't want to. It's not in my wheelhouse. It doesn't really have anything to do with the areas that I want to personally develop in, as with an audience, if that makes sense. But I think I've got the idea for that, and I've been practicing it and working with the modality a little bit every day, and I'll do that till the end of the year, and then maybe at the end of the year I'll change my mind and I'll decide to do something totally different. I actually have a couple options. I wrote a book probably 9 years ago now, and I could use the book as a basis of next year's challenge. That's one idea. Or I could use this other thing as a basis that I'm working on every day for next year's challenge. I want to see how it impacts me over the next couple of months before I decide if I want to commit to doing it for a year, every day for a year, and if I want to ask people to come along with me and then figure out. The big thing for me is, how do I figure out how to share something every day about that, and how do we each hold each other accountable and share what are we going to share in the comments below every day if we talk about that, and then how will I talk about, and what would we do, yada yada yada. I'm still playing with the idea, obviously. I don't have it all ferreted out yet. So that is what I'm working on. Did a VIP session yesterday, which was a different format than I've used in coaching before, so that was really fun. Wonderful young lady. I don't know how old she is. She's got a 32-year-old, so she's probably about my age, actually. Well, nah, she probably had her kids younger. She's probably 10 years younger than me, at least a decade. So, but it was an awesome session that we had, and I actually like doing that. I might offer a few more of those up for people, because it's a way for me to test different information, different ideas. And I also learned by watching myself, because I watched the part of the video, I only watched half of it last night again. I talk way too fast, and I think that's a little bit inherent in doing work over the internet and on Zoom and things. It's just it's hard to gauge, and I can't look into the person's eyes. I can look at them on Zoom, but it's harder than when you're with the person and you're really paying attention and toned into it. So I want to practice getting better at that, really knowing what is important to the person that I'm working with. And it's a continually improving process, right? We're always getting better and better and better at that. All right, that's all I've got. Any questions? Ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow just to fill you in, documenting the journey of what I'm doing as I transition from into the online world, in and out, not out totally, but in, and then how do I combine both? Because I've always believed everybody, and I didn't believe it till I came online, because I didn't have my offline businesses online, which I'm just amazed that it wasn't as easy as it is now, and it's easy and simple, but it can be super complicated, because if we fall down the shiny syndrome path, and if we listen to everybody, because there's way too many people telling us different things, some of them are experts, some of them are just acting as if they're experts, but they're not experts yet, hoping to get experience from us, and that's not a good place to be in. Maybe we'll do a video on how to pick the people that you listen to, how to pick the people that you follow online or offline as far as that goes. It's really similar. It's just there's more noise online because there's less barrier of entry, so there's more people talking and telling, especially since COVID-19. COVID-19, the world flipped and people that weren't online came online like in droves, and that's a good thing because it's less competition. It's more people for everybody is how I look at it. All right. Questions, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.